monsters of the Midway, knocking teams out every Sunday. Fire in our eyes, can't stop our drive. Hit so hard, remind you of 85. We the Bears, monsters of the Midway, knocking teams out every Sunday. Fire in our eyes, can't stop our drive. Hit so hard, remind you of 85.
Take a look, Chicago, you can smell it in the air. There's a hungry team called the Soldier Field going nuts, jumping out their chair. Teams rather be anywhere but here. We don't care if it's below zero. Let it tougher for the snow, we still gon' break holes. If we win the point flip, we choosing to kick, cause we gotta keep this that love to hit. Polarize the link with our smash mouth beats, slicing up teams like Mike Singletary. Forever repping the seat, making Papa Bear proud, giving Chicago something to shout about.
We the Bears, monsters of the
And what's up? Welcome to the Panda and Grizzly Show. I'm Brian the Grizzly here. Tank is still out for the next few weeks, doing his dad thing. And I want to say congratulations for all that, and keep it going, man. I know you're getting tired, so keep it going though. You're doing an amazing job. But yeah, we're here to talk about the Bears. I just finished watching Hard Knocks, which was cool. It was a cool experience. I will say that. That was an hour of a lot of stuff that I guess the entire nation needs to feel like that's what Chicago is, especially the opening where, Chicago is about deep dish pizza and all these other things, and talking about the lake and all. It was just very touristy at the beginning, and that's exactly what you have to have. And exactly what I thought was going to happen for this first episode kind of happened. They really focused on Caleb Williams a lot. And hey, what's up, B? Appreciate you, man. They focused on Caleb Williams a lot. I wasn't shocked by it, but the fact that they had the Bulls announcer in there announcing Caleb Williams, like the starting lineup for your Chicago Bears, and announcing Caleb Williams, that was something. And while I was watching, I was looking at some tweets and seeing what people were saying. I saw Bleacher Nation Bears say, watching Caleb Williams practice throws set to the Alan Parsons project had me believing that he's going to win at least 12 championships. So, that's some belief out there. Yeah, Brian Jackson says, Hard Knocks doesn't miss. The throwback to the 90s Bulls announcer was perfection. I thought it was cool to see, but you're putting so much on this young guy. And I think that's what the whole beginning part of the show was about. How much, hype he's had, and even with being drafted number 1 overall, and seeing all these guys talking about him and thinking about him, and it was saying, hey guys, he's still a rookie. He's still going to make rookie mistakes. We saw him calling out plays, right? Him trying to go through his cadence. We saw him trying to figure out where does he fit in. And I thought that was a very cool thing to think, because you start to realize, yes, he's a rookie. He's just trying to figure these things out. He hasn't done a lot of these things before, and he's trying to carry an entire team, because all the expectations are on Caleb Williams, because the Chicago Bears are a ready-made team already. They got talent around them. So, it's difficult, and I think he fumbled a lot. You see him. He made a lot of mistakes. He made a lot of rookie mistakes, which was what should be expected. And of course, they talk about Peyton Manning and throwing all the most interceptions in NFL history, and how you bounce back from that. But Peyton Manning didn't play on a team that was ready to win. So Caleb Williams can't even fathom that. That can't be what we're doing. So I don't know why that was even being brought up. We got Tua in here. What's good? Winter is coming. I hear the contact. I feel the stadiums. I taste fall in the air. Today in Chicago was the first day it felt like football. Like, it was a little wet, a little cool. Felt the breeze coming out. You know, these old bones, these old knees felt like I could get out there, maybe for a couple plays, do something, hit something hard, get on the sled. That was very cool. For that to be the first day, and then us to get this Hard Knocks episode was perfect. It was literally perfect. It was like Chicago knew it. It was setting the stage for what Hard Knocks was going to be. I saw it coming. I felt it. But I will say, I think they did a good job. Exactly what everyone wanted to see, wanted to hear from Caleb Williams. I mean, the whole first half of the show might as well have been called the Caleb Williams experience. It was Caleb Williams and Matt Eberflus, the stars of this show. Eberflus was interesting. Seeing him and his family and his wife discussing how she really changed, how his look, and how he's feeling more comfortable with who he is and being in Chicago, and seeing it, his daughters being as prominently there, was really cool. What's up, Ro? I enjoyed all those parts. Seeing him as a real person, and seeing Nick Saban come in, being his first coach in college, in Toledo before he left after that first year, bringing back scenes of Matt Eberflus when he was a linebacker hitting, realizing he didn't just come into this stuff. He's a lifer from the 90s on to here, which doesn't sound like a long time, but that's 24 years, right? 24 years of 34 years really of breathing, thinking about football and learning and crafting your skills and knowing what you're talking about and figuring out how to call the defense. So kind of puts that into a good place and make you understand who he is. We got two. It says, "Is it on HBO?" Didn't realize it was out this early. So it came out an hour ago at 8:00. It came out. So of course I had to watch that because I didn't want to be on the Bears show, and I know what's going on in Hard Knocks. Other things that we saw in the show was pretty. Seeing DJ Moore. I thought seeing DJ Moore get that contract extension was pretty awesome, and how Drew Rosenhaus did it, and then DJ Moore just came out from practice and came in, put pen to paper, and didn't do anything huge about it, and just kept on going about his day. It's one less thing to worry about. He's like, my family is taken care of. All his guaranteed money was already gone. They had 2 years left on the contract, so they said they extended it for 6 years. Basically, he got $110 million extra, and all that guaranteed, 82.5 guaranteed. Everyone said, even Warren said, "Hey, this is a very good for both sides. You get your money, you get your security, and we get a top tier wide receiver for $27.5 million." He said, "I just traded Ladd and the 2025 first for Doomsday. Thoughts?" So I think, as what we saw, Doomsday only for a little bit in this episode. But what we saw was the reaction from his team. Like, man, I love Rome. Man, he just does amazing things. So Rome Odunze, I think this year might be only a 800, 750, 800 yard receiver. But if Keenan Allen gets hurt, he can definitely make it to, he can get up there to 1,000. I think he might be more touchdowns than in deep threat, a deep threat overall. And that's going to be great for fantasy numbers. And if you have Caleb Williams and a Dunze stack, you're going to be good for a long time going. So that's why I think. So yeah, Dynasty 2 QB tight end plus a 0.25 point a carry. So, I mean, I still think it's a good trade. The thing about a 2025 first is probably going to be a top tier running back. So as bad as running back was this past draft, is how good they're going to be next year. Ohio State has 2 guys that can be drafted in the first round, in the first, 25 picks. 2 guys. So I'm just saying, when you have that, 0.25 per carrier, like it's almost like a running back premium, you might want to think about that. And B, you said, what documentary is this? It is the Chicago Bears on Hard Knocks. on HBO Max. So I was able to watch that and kind of bring that here because it kind of outlined training camp and along with the first game. So we got a nice inside look at the first game and how it kind of played out. But as I said, the whole first half was pretty much Caleb Williams and how he's coming to Chicago and how much pressure they're putting on him. And they really are putting a lot of pressure on this guy. I can watch sports related movies and documentaries. I just can't watch sports themselves. Well, you will like this, I think, because it did outline a lot of Chicago stuff. There are a lot of good storylines. The Jonathan Owens storyline, knowing that Simone Biles is over in France right now. This is probably her last time going over there. She is the best gymnast in the world, probably the best athlete in the world, as they said. Stated on Hard Knocks. But her only getting silver on the floor, which is amazing because she's probably the best floor routinist ever. Is some people step up their game. I mean, when you increase the bar, other people could jump in that bar with you. So I think that's what happened with her. But seeing their connection, seeing the marriage, and seeing him supporting her, I think that's a big thing. I know a lot of people in Chicago were like, why are we getting this guy who played at Green Bay last year and they're gonna let him not come to camp? But the Olympics only comes every 4 years. So that's one thing. Plus the storyline for someone on Hard Knocks is huge. And it gives you the Chicago Bears a more worldwide view. So people see the Chicago Bears in France. And the storyline kind of gives you an insight, a way to get there. So I thought that was a big thing. So you do have a Caleb stack. Yeah, that makes sense then. Someone on here, the Bears is married to Simone Biles. Yes, Jonathan Owens is married to Simone Biles. And I mean, they let him leave camp, go see her, and he came back. So that was interesting to see him actually watch her floor routine back at home. So he's been back at practice. Obviously, he came right after the Hall of Fame game, came right back to practice, and he's going to be here most of the time. He only missed, I think, 3 practices, really. So I think that's a good one. So am I rolling out Herbert or Caleb week 1 and behind Joey Bosa as my QB2? Oh, no, behind Joey B as my QB2. Am I rolling by Herbert or Caleb week 1? Herbert. The thing was what I saw on Hard Knocks was that Caleb Williams is going to take a couple weeks. Even at the best case scenario, he's going to throw interceptions. He's going to fumble the ball. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to have a high ceiling, but he's going to make a lot of things, make mistakes in between. CB. He's going to make a lot of mistakes. So, I mean, I would rather go with Herbert with Harbaugh behind him, knowing that Harbaugh, though he likes to run the ball, he's also going to support his guy. So I would kind of probably go with Herbert week 1. Now, there are going to be weeks where Caleb is going to step up, but I think you need to sit and wait for the first week and then go and see what you got. All right. So other storylines we saw Ryan Poles out there as far as the extension. Also, how proud he kind of was when we were talking about Caleb Williams and how he got his guy, and that's the guy he wanted to be behind, and how Matt Eberflus is really his guy too. Seemed to be really hammering that home. We did finally get to see Warren out there, which was cool. Kind of the man behind the man. He's not trying to take center screen, especially not the first episode. I thought that was good, but I'm sure we're going to hear more about the stadium going forward from him. I think that was good. The introduction, as I said, to DJ Moore, to Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, seeing those guys was good. Seeing the rookie moment with Caleb Williams was cool too, because he Once again, he fumbled that rookie moment, which was fine because it humanizes him. I think that was probably the best case scenario. You don't want to take too much. You don't want to seem like you already have you got to say your signing bonus of $25.5 million or $25.8 million and doing all the most out there, and then trying to take it so serious instead of trying to be fun. Because the idea of this is really bringing the team together. You're being a rookie, you're hazing, and you're accepting the hazing, but more than anything, you're doing the same thing everyone has done before you, and you're laughing at yourself, and you're becoming a player that's just like them. So I think that's a very good, humbling experience, and it humanizes him. And I think people are going to like him. Caleb Williams, I will say that everyone knows, anyone who watches this channel knows I'm a Justin Fields guy, which I would say is very interesting that they did not mention Justin Fields at all this first episode. They focused on Caleb Williams without talking about Justin Fields being here before. I am a Justin Fields guy, and I think he's going to start in Pittsburgh. I think they're going to get Brandon Ayuk, and it's going to be amazing. I really do. But as far as Caleb, I thought he was very likable. Everything he said, everything he was doing, he seemed very fun, self-aware of himself. I mean, self-aware of himself, but self-aware. Just he knew what was going on, and he was okay just being him. So that's what people always say. And I think that kind of came through. I don't know if that's the way they wanted to look, but I felt that. So I think that's a very good thing, especially in a city that was split for such a long time on, Caleb Williams or Justin Fields. I think that's, still something that's going to be said, especially when he makes his first mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. He's just going to, and it's okay. And I think at Chicago, we have to make sure that we accept him at doing that. That's a huge thing. Speaking of the Caleb Williams moment, I think I want to play that video real quick if anyone who hasn't seen it. Pull it up real quick. And this is the moment I was speaking of. And I think it was a very good moment overall. So here we go, play it.
Caleb Williams went to USC in Oklahoma. Moore's down still. Fight on. Yeah. And my signing bonus is 25.5.
I got on him. So yeah, blame him. So I thought that was a very cool moment. And yeah, blame Poles because he's the one that got him here and he's the one that gave him the money. So there were fun moments throughout this entire episode of Hard Knocks. And I think it's going to give us a more realistic idea of what we're going to get from these guys. Don't think that Caleb is going to immediately, be this superstar. Don't think that we're not going to have a lot of mistakes. But we're not going to have a bad team too. Because what you also saw was how good that defense was flying around. We didn't see Montez Sweat in this entire first episode, which I thought was really interesting. We really didn't see much of the defense. We saw the DBs a little bit. We saw Jalen Johnson with his car, which was cool. And I was hoping that they were going to say something about Jalen Johnson not being in the top 100 NFL players, which is stupid, ludicrous. That makes no sense at all. If Jalen Johnson is not at least 50, he should be in the top half. I think PFF have him ranked in the top 3 as far as cornerbacks, and he can't be in the top 100. I think that's a mistake, and I think that's going to fuel him in this coming up year, and that's going to fuel overall our defensive backfield, which is great. If we get pressure from the defensive line and they're fueled, woo! We saw them intercept Caleb Williams. I'm glad they didn't show him getting intercepted twice in a row because that might have been a problem. But overall, I thought that they did a good job. But they focused mostly on offense, and then they focused a lot on Caleb. and Eberflus, as we said. We didn't really see many of the running backs. You know, they introduced the wide receivers, and then we kind of got into the Hall of Fame. And when they got to the Hall of Fame, the fact that they had Devin Hester's face front and center was great. I wish we would have heard a little bit about Devin, you know, and then you can hear the announcer talk about Mongo, because this is a huge celebration for Mongo's and Mongo's family. Devin Hester, and if you heard the speech Devin Hester talked, oh my gosh, it was emotional. It was just so good from someone who doesn't speak publicly most of the time. You know, so him be able to speak 20-25 minutes without stopping is huge. And then it just was real. You know, talking about him sleeping with his brother in the same bed, in the bunk bed, because Devin fell off the top bunk bed. So they slept in the same bed, you know, through high school. His older brother through high school. You know, this is not like for a little while. Talking about, you know, his stepdad, you know, teaching him how to play football, all those things were really good in his speech. And that's why I'm glad we didn't forget that it was the Hall of Fame game. You know, I'm glad they mentioned Julius Peppers, who is my favorite all-time player. I think he's like one of the greatest defensive ends I've ever seen. And basketball players too. I love them in North Carolina. But seeing those things were all, I mean, just were cool. And it wasn't, they didn't take a lot of time and spend a lot of time on it because they couldn't, because they had to get to the game. You know, so we saw Caleb Williams warm up for the game, but no, everyone knew he wasn't going to play. And I think we also saw kind of Eberflus talk about Caleb Williams in respects to CJ Stroud. So CJ Stroud was with last year's Rookie of the Year. Had an unbelievable season, just unbelievable, just special type of season. And Caleb Williams is coming behind him, this number 1 draft pick, thinking everyone's asking, can you match what CJ can? And Eberflus even said, you know, speaking of Caleb Williams, he says he accepted every challenge and he has risen to the occasion. You know, and that's what he said in front of everybody. You know, and he's talking about compared to a guy who just did an amazing job the year before. Where he said basically he said Caleb Williams is dealing with ups and downs just like any other rookie, but he's taking on every obstacle, and you know that's a huge thing. That is a big thing. So I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy that they still have confidence in him. I'm happy he's confident in himself, and we got the real thing actually coming after this. What's really going to happen? And I think every episode we're gonna see a little bit more. I'm glad we saw Ripien featured a little bit more in this episode. We didn't really get into Tyson Bagent because if you talk about Tyson Bagent, you're gonna talk about last year. Once again, you're gonna focus on Justin Fields because he's, you know, his backup. He's gonna talk about his dad with the arm wrestling. You're gonna talk about all those things, and I don't think they wanted to focus on that on this episode. I believe Justin Fields' name will come up during these episodes, especially as we go through Jalen Johnson changing his number. Anything that happened last year. Talking about the team as a whole, why it's, you know, Caleb Williams stepping into this team that's already winning, you know, ready to win, prove that they can win. They're going to mention him. They're going to mention Justin Fields. And that's going to happen one way or another. So that was cool seeing the game, seeing Colin Johnson score those touchdowns, and how he wasn't like you expect. Remember, this guy's 6'6", 220. You know, he was running great routes, crisp routes, and the team knew that the ball was going to him. You know, the one thing that Ripien had, he had that one fade route that just was not online. They didn't give him a chance, but he probably would have caught that ball too. He was on it. And DJ Moore said something though. Caleb said he's going to be on. He's going to spend some time on this team. He's going to spend some time on this team. And DJ Moore said, really, it depends on how many wide receivers they keep. And when you really think about that means a lot, because you have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. You have Tyler Scott, who's definitely going to make the team. You have Velus Jones Jr., Does Dante Pettis make this team? You know, do you need a backup punt returner? You know, then does Colin Johnson make the team? Because Colin Johnson's behind 5 of those guys. He's probably the 6th wide receiver. Do you keep 6 wide receivers? And every game, every opportunity he has to go out there is going to matter. If he goes and catches 2 or 3 more touchdowns, and we got 3 more preseason games, he might make this team. But you're not going. Also, because of Hard Knocks, you're not going to be able to hide him. You're not going to be able to put him on the practice squad. Some teams are going to look at him and say, "Oh, he's 6'6" and 220 and can run these routes. We're going to give him an opportunity." So you have to be sure about him. But he's probably going to make it all the way to the end of the cuts, because of what he did. And I'm glad we saw that. And I hope that he gets a chance with the second team. That will be interesting, starting to see that. I don't know if he's going to be a star in this thing, but they definitely focused on him because he did so well in the first game and how it's going to go going forward. There are some things that I did find interesting that I thought the Bears were going to focus a little bit more on, but they just didn't. And that's okay. You know, but I think it will come up soon. And probably the number one thing is going to be their special teams. You know, we have, especially I'm actually surprised because we had Devin Hester there front and center. We could have talked about kickoff returns. We talked about the kickoff, how it looked like a running play because everyone was so close, and how the timing was a little bit off. That was interesting in seeing actual football, but they also talked about that we're not going to show anything because we played the Texans week 2. So if we show anything now, they're going to take that and they're going to bring that back to us. I think that was going to be cool, but I think going forward, you're going to hear Tory Taylor's name a lot more. They're going to talk about the punts. They're going to talk about all the skills he has with the ball skills. As much as I was against drafting a punter that early, when you need a lot of help on the defensive line, you need help at rush. I think that's going to be a huge talking point, especially now that Austin Booker seems like he's doing well enough that he might make this team and he might actually have some playing time. So that's one less thing to worry about. But I think Tory Taylor starting week 2 will be something that they really focus on. And I think he will be the star of week 2. And then we'll get into week 1 of the preseason against Buffalo. Another thing that they might really focus on is going to be the competition between Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. That's a huge thing. And Khalil Herbert is not guaranteed a spot on this team. I think Roschon has a chance to really knock him out. Or do they keep Khalil Herbert? And if they do keep all 3, then they really much trust Travis Homer. Or maybe they don't trust Travis Homer, so they can't keep those 3 because Travis Homer's not he's like an entry level more of a running back, or he's more of a kickoff specialist. So you need to have 3 good running backs to get through the season. So those are all going to be good questions, I think, going forward. I think they're going to focus on the defense next week also. So special teams and defense will be the focus of next week. Montez Sweat will take a big step. Javon Dexter Jr. will be huge. TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds will be there. Jaquan Brisker, as we said. Jalen Johnson. We got Byard, who is been talking about a lot of stuff. Kyler Gordon will be there. So I think those will be the focus of this episode 2. Episode 1 was fun and kind of gave you an introduction and focus on the things you thought they were going to focus on. And now episode 2 is going to be more nitty gritty, figuring out who this team really is and how good this defense could really be. So I think those are things that we're the Hard Knocks kind of focused on and that we're going to see going forward. And I enjoyed this episode. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it because I haven't watched Hard Knocks in the last 2 years. I just wasn't interested. And I was interested in this team because I love the team. I thought they did a good job with the storyline, and then hearing the producers and all that stuff on the radio, you kind of know what you're focusing on. So I think that was a good experience. I enjoyed it. But now we got to talk about preseason game 1. So the Bears will be playing the Buffalo Bills, and I expect us to see Caleb Williams out there this week. Caleb will be there. I think the starters might even play 2 snaps. Two series. So he'll be able to go through his routine, go through his play calling, because you see that he was fumbling over his play calling, go through his cadence, which his cadence actually sounded pretty good and sounded pretty solid overall. So I think that we're going to see that. I think the Bills are going to have a lot of their receivers. Josh Allen should not play, but they're going to just try to get their offensive line together because they've lost a lot of different players. Bates came from them. I mean, he was their backup, but then they got rid of their center too because he went down to Miami. So they have a lot of moving pieces too. And with our defense, and if it's the possibility of our defensive line being decent, especially the middle, if Javon Dexter is anything that way he could be, and then moving around Montez Sweat, that might be a problem. But I'm excited to see higher quality football, especially those first 2 series. Because this will be the second time the Bears get to go out there. I think Caleb Williams he's going to play probably about 55 to 60 snaps all preseason. So I'm expecting 12 to 15 this week 1 of the preseason. But you want to also make sure that they don't get hurt. You want to get out of this unscathed. And we had a guy who did get hurt. You saw. And that's happening around the entire league. We got a calf injury, then McCaffrey, who's going to miss all the preseason. Kyler Murray, though he's healthy, they're going to hold him out all preseason. You have all these scuffles going around. We got Puka Nacua, who's going to probably miss the rest of the preseason. You don't want your star players going out like that. So you're going to limit it, but you also have to weigh the fact that he's a rookie. And I don't expect to see Keenan Allen at all. Just don't. DJ Moore, maybe game 3. But besides that, I don't expect to see him out there. You don't want to risk your $110 million man. Makes no sense. The highest extension that is in Chicago Bears history. Do you really want to waste it until you're sure everyone's there and everyone's ready to play? I don't think so. So I think week 1 will be about 2 series. Most of your stars will be in there trying to see what your offensive line is and kind of going there, because you saw Nate Davis on the sideline during training camp. You heard about Tevin Jenkins on Sunday getting a little banged up. You got to worry about that. I mean, if you can't stay healthy during the preseason, how can you stay healthy even during the regular season? And your offensive line has to come together. And I think Eberflus said today that, hey, we need people out there that's going to play. So, I need Nate Davis to be out there to play. If not, don't be surprised if Coleman Shelton and Ryan goes to center, Ryan Bates goes to right guard, Tevin Jenkins stays at left guard, and go with Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright. Don't be surprised that happens. And if they get rid of Nate Davis, or he doesn't start, you might keep him on the team because he might need to be your backup right guard, but he's not a good swing guard. So you might have to bring some more people in. Just like they moved Tyree Carter to left guard now. So those are just all things that are going to be interesting going forward. Going through the season, this preseason is going to be fun. I'm expecting a lot of competition out there. We got competition at center. We got competition at receivers. We have competition at running back. We have competition defensive end. We have competition everywhere. And that's what you really need. You need to be competitive. You got to see this team start to form into something special. And as we watch this Hard Knocks, maybe we'll see something. Maybe it'll be very much like the Lions were 2 years ago. You know, no one wants to be like the Jets last year. But if you want to be like the Lions a couple of years ago, when you saw a team starting to become more like their head coach, starting to find their own footing, starting to find who they want to be, and taking strides towards that. And if the Chicago Bears are ready week 1, the sky's the limit. You know, I could see them getting off to a 6-3 start easy. And then the work comes in. Then you got to go into your division, and then you have to go on the road and start doing things. And that will determine what this team is. Is it a 9-win team? Is it a 10-win team? Is it an 8-win team? It better not be anything lower than that. So we got a whole long season. We have a lot of stuff going on. We're going to watch Hard Knocks. We're going to talk about that. We're going to then look at the games, and we're going to kind of break those things down going forward. Tomorrow we'll be on Dynasty Pylon, just having a good time, maybe going over a quick thing about this Hard Knocks, and mostly focusing on your fantasy football drafts coming up, because I know a lot of you guys redrafters are coming back out of hibernation, are going to focus on those things. So we're going to kind of do that. Going into the season, we will make sure we're going to talk about pickups for your fantasy football drafts and get you guys ready every week. You know, you need to be ready because you got to be able to pounce. Right after your draft, you have to be ready what's going to be next. You got to keep it going. So just like football, we're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep it going. And then on Sundays, we will be giving you guys lineup help as far as your fantasy football lineups. And anything you want to talk about football, just come in and we'll talk and we'll discuss and we'll have a good time and we'll get ready for the football. Starting this Sunday, we will have football on Sunday. So put your kids up, give them hugs and kisses, let them know, hey, Sunday is now for football and daddy's about to go into hibernation. Don't come in here when the football game's on unless you want to come play or come watch. That's it. So we all have to get ready. Preseason's time for us to get ready too, guys. We have to start figuring out what combination we're going to have. What drinks do we want? Do we want to do old fashioned? Are we going to go vodka this year? Are we going to go tequila this year? We got to figure those things out. Are we going to pizza? Are we going to do chicken wings? Are we practicing? Sure, we making up the right barbecue. Those things are all part of the preseason too. We need to be practicing our skills along with what's going on with the football players. So I'm excited by this. I'm excited about football. I'm excited about the season coming together. We're going to see the Bills play the Bears on Saturday at noon, and we will talk about that on Sunday, along with all the other things that happen around the NFL. I want to thank everybody for jumping in today, for you guys watching this video, and we will be here, same bear time, same bear channel on Tuesday, talking about week 2 of Hard Knocks. So thanks, everybody. I'll see you next week.
We the Bears, monsters of the Midway, knocking teams out every Sunday. Fire in our eyes, can't stop our drive. Hit so hard, remind you of 85. We the Bears, monsters of the Midway, knocking teams out every Sunday. Fire in our eyes, can't stop our drive. Hit so hard.